Hello everyone, back in the shed again. You may have noticed I had a fair bit of time off. I basically had 2 weeks up at work, then 6 weeks overseas, travelling around Asia. Came back, had another 2 weeks of work, but now I'm here in the shed. So where am I at with the Cerbera? Well, the cylinder heads are still sitting here. That's one of the next big jobs. I actually had a bloke contact me on Facebook saying he was getting a batch of intake valves made up of the tulip style design that was originally spec'd for these engines. For those of you who don't know, here's a couple of valves, intake and exhaust. These are the brand new ones from Powers. The tulip style are a lot fatter through here. I think the idea is they direct the airflow sort of to the outer edges of the valves, or something along those lines. But they're probably about a month or so away. So I'll use these exhausts and the tulip intakes. Now, these intakes came from TVR Power. Now, I'm pretty sure they know a thing or two about rebuilding AJP V8s. So, is this a great idea to go with different valves? I'm not sure, but going to find out anyway. So, apparently they're good for like another 20 horsepower or something. So, I thought, well, I've got everything apart, and someone's approached me with this opportunity to get the original spec valve. So I thought, well, I'll give it a go. So where I'm at now, well, I haven't really done much since last time. I put the last two pistons in with my U-Butte piston ring compressor. Didn't break any. So the bottom end's all together. That's over there, under the bed sheet. I need to, if you look under the car here, at some point I'm going to have to go through and I'm going to start replacing these. Yeah, it's a bit of a mess. I'm actually a bit more daunted by this than I am by rebuilding the engine, because, well, this part up here is it's quite an unusual shape. So, but I don't think it'll be that big of a deal once I get started. The exhaust, at some point I'm either going to have to put a wire brush over that and clean it up myself, paint it, wrap it, and what else? Yeah, at some point I've got to solve the riddle of the clutch. I'm not a fan of the original setup. It relies on a seal. I'll show you over here. The slave cylinder has, I looked at some photos online, like behind here it's got like a big sort of gasket, you know, like a flange style gasket, but then the part that pushes into the bell housing has got an O-ring, which I think is just like an awful idea. So when I eventually pull this out, I'm going to look at drilling out the bell housing here, drill it out there, and just run these lines directly into the body, drill and tap holes, and just run the hoses with obviously a set length of steel line directly into the body of the cylinder itself. At least that's what I'm thinking at this point, but I haven't even taken this apart yet, so who knows what I'll actually do when I do take it apart. Yeah, because the clutch itself, I was thinking of getting a new clutch, but before I do that, I'll actually just measure this thickness, because it wasn't slipping or anything. So while it looks dusty and horrible, if it's got the meat on the friction material there, well, I don't see the need to replace it. So, but today's mission, going to start pulling this bad boy apart. Now, for those of you who are on piston heads or the various social media groups or whatever. The only reason I'm pulling this apart, there's nothing actually wrong with it. It doesn't leak, plenty of oil pressure. The pressure relief spring's a new pressure relief spring. I just remember seeing it. There's a bloke called UK Kid, and he had the keyway shear off in the oil pump and lost all oil pressure, toasted the engine. And I just want to check that my keyway is not on the verge of stripping out. And yeah, that's all really. That's not really that's the main thing. I've got various seals and whatnot to put it all together. So yeah, here we go. Hopefully I'll be quick enough with this that we don't need a time lapse. Alright. Ooh, she's pretty tight. Righto, so what I thought might be an easy job, of course, is not. First thing I did was launch my Allen key across the shed, and then I decided, okay, it's going to take a while, so I'll go to a time lapse, and well, as you can see, just turn the mic off for a minute. Yeah, nothing's coming apart. I've undone all the bolts, taken the circlip out of here, and yeah, nothing's moving. So I think I'll just go to the next step. As some of you may notice, I don't have a power steering pump here anymore because I went to the electric power steering. So I'll take these bolts off, see if this bad boy wants to come off, and then see where we can go from there. Righto, so hang on, let me plug my microphone back in. So yeah, she's undone all the bolts, and what I thought might happen has happened. She's glued together solid. I mean, I think I said it in one of my last videos, you know, like if you're gonna use RTV sealant instead of gaskets, clean both sides, put your RTV on one side and just cover the other side with like a thin layer of oil or grease or something, because the RTV only really needs to stick to one side, and yeah, then it all just comes apart easy. So Not sure exactly what I'm going to do here. Guess I'm going to have to slowly prise and cut, get a blade in there, and there's a tiny gap. I don't want to do anything too crude, but yeah, see how we go. Righto, so I've had a bit of a win. I've got to take back what I said before about the RTV. This doesn't actually have RTV. It's an O-ring seal. Now what I found, and where it was going wrong, I thought it was kind of glued together on this face, but no, it's what was holding it together is this shaft here, where it goes through the bearing in this part. It's almost a press fit. It's just crazy tight through there, so I ended up sort of putting this in the vise like that, and it seemed to fit, lock in there perfectly, and just with a copper mallet just slowly tapping that through while I supported it at the other end, and bit by bit it came out. So I don't know what the go is there. It almost feels like there's a couple of steps there, a couple of thousandths of an inch sort of make out. But anyway, that's your impeller. Now this is the inlet here, goes into the other side of the pump, and the pump forces it out here, and this here is the pressure relief, and when that lifts it basically allows oil from the outlet back to the suction side. So yeah, that's how that works. As far as getting off these the water pump side, I think this is the same thing. Like I'm guessing this one's got an O-ring in there, and this one, but this shaft is almost pressed into the bearing. So I do have a press, but just wondering whether there's a special. I need to make up a special doodad here to hook it on the press, so I can push that through and hold on to this. Not sure, but we're gonna have to work something out. Right, so here we are. This part actually came off pretty easy. Sort of fell apart in my hands almost, which is a surprise. So yeah, if you look here, that's the guts of the oil pump there. O-ring seal. Now this here, I don't know what the story is. I don't know if I got supplied with a gasket like this, but it's a real weird looking gasket. Yeah, look, if you pull these, it's got RTV there, but yeah, a bit grimy looking. But this seal here, I'm not sure if that's meant to be in 2 pieces or not, but I don't know how much longer that had left in it. That's, yeah, hard to see. I wonder if this seal just, yeah, seal on a spring. I hope I got one of them in my bag of goodies. It seems to have there's something going on there. Alright. Yeah. It might be time to go through my big bag of seals that I got in the mail a while back and see if I can start lining up yeah, new seals with old seals that I'm going to be changing out, and bearings, because there's one bearing in there. This might be a bearing down in there, or that might just be maybe not. And yeah, there's definitely a bearing in there. So hopefully I can get this whole thing apart. But I've heard that these the water pump impellers are a press fit, and they're quite brittle. They're quite easy to break. So yeah, maybe my next video will be me making a new impeller. Alright, we'll see how I go. Excuse me. Righto, so I've just got my collection of seals out, and I thought I'd just show you this. This is this looks to be the water pump seal, the seal between the water pump, which you can see the sort of the broken remains of that one in there. And so that there's got to come out, and this bad boy presses in there, and then you got this. I can't say I've ever seen anything like this in my life. That's the old one. This is the, I think they call it the ceramic seal. So I'm guessing that this ceramic edge is meant to press up against that section in the center of the water pump, and it spins on the impeller. The rubber backside of it here seals against this, and this in here seals the pump, and it's spring loaded to keep tension on that. As I said, I can't say I've ever seen anything like that, but there you go. And looks like I've got a couple of bearings, so these look to be about that size. So there you go. Now I'm wondering, I'm guessing in the center here it doesn't have a bearing. You know, obviously it would be pretty hard to seal that against water, but so yeah, I've got a bearing there. I've got a bearing at this end. I don't think there's a bearing behind that. I should just lever this out. This actually came out, well, can't do it one-handed, but give me a second, I'll pull that out. Righto, so I pulled out the old the trusty old slide hammer. Oh, it's not that old, I bought it off eBay not long ago, but my bearing puller thing pulled this seal out. So that's the back end of the old seal, like so, and this blue sort of sealant here, I guess, is what's all over here, and there's another seal behind there. So that's alright. Sure, in my collection here somewhere, kind of looks like that one. Alright, so, and it looks like yeah, there's no bearing behind there. Right, so I pull this bad boy out. I'm thinking I'll probably I'd like to strip all these parts and just put them in my dishwasher. I've got you can sort of see over in the corner there. You probably can't, but I've got a dishwasher I bought off Facebook Marketplace for like $20 that I use to wash parts in. So I'm thinking I'll give all these a wash, but I still haven't pulled this off yet, and I know there's a bearing and a seal there, so that's my new ceramic seal, dirty. Alright then, see what... Righto, good morning, back again. Just a quick update. Last night I managed to I finally sort of wrap my head around these funky looking seals and how they work. You've got this part here, which actually slides in to the impeller. And then on this side, if you look there, see that black lip there? That's not rubber. That's a it's a ceramic edge on there. Now I'll just unplug my microphone. Yeah, it's actually a I just unplugged the microphone because it works really well when I'm right in front of it, but if I'm talking while looking at something like this, you won't be able to hear what I'm saying. Yeah, it's actually like a spring-loaded ceramic seal, and this inner diameter here, that actually seals on this metal tube there, which yeah, I'm sure is quite common in some applications. I'd never seen it before. Now the problem I've got now is there's a similar seal on this side. Now I'll just put my light on. Is that light? Yeah, it does some strange things with the camera, this light, for some reason. So yeah, on the other side here, there's a seal, but reading the assembly instructions, this shaft is pressed onto this bearing. If you look here, this shaft diameter here is smaller than that diameter, so I'm guessing on the other side of that bearing there's a shoulder which kind of locates the shaft position in the whole assembly. You know, it's hard up against this bearing. This bearing's held in place with a circlip, and that's what puts the shaft where it needs to be. Now to press this off, I need to grab hold of this and push this out. So what I'm going to do is I've got this, just happens to be the piece of 12mm aluminium that I had laying around that I don't know, I used it for something. I was going to use it for something years ago, so basically I'm going to take my CNC router and machine this cutout, stepped cutout, and the 4 holes. Then I'm going to take that, bolt that on there, then I'll be able to sort of stand this whole thing up vertically and get you know, sit that on the press with what we call it, like a couple of pieces of angle line underneath each side, and just push this out, change the seal, and then flip it up the other way and push it back on with a new bearing. Yeah, it's going to be hard work for the router, but yeah, going to be a hard day's work for the little router, but no, I should do it. All right, off to the other shed. All right, so here we are in the other shed. This is my CNC router. It's an X-Carve. This is basically the Fisher Price of CNC machines. It's a beginner model, but having said that, boy, I've done a lot of work with this thing. These here are the spaces to go underneath the bonnet catch the bonnet latches on the Cerbera, because I actually made machined aluminium ones. But yeah, just for things like brackets and spaces, and it really is quite useful. So the annoying thing is, this block of aluminium was my mouse pad for when I was in here, so now I've got to use something else. Let me see if I can find it. That's basically the cutout that I'm after. So this isn't a real sophisticated machine, like you can't do probing, if you know what that is. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to mark the center. I'm going to mark the center of this, drill a 6mm hole through it, which is the same size as the bit on the end of the router there. And then I'll just center it like that, clamp it down and zero everything out, and 2 hours later we'll have our little cutout there, yeah, ready to go. So wish me luck. Righto, so here we are, we've got our finished piece. The light's messing with the camera again. But as you can see, if you look close up, it's got chatter marks. As I was saying, I'm sort of pushing the limits of that machine, but it's got yeah, chatter marks, and I really need to get a CNC mill. But yeah, see the holes line up, and if you give me a minute, of course I can find the bolts. Right, here we go. Right, is this one going to bottom out? I know. It's golden. Now I wonder Alright, so I have to do that in the press. Righto, so here we are at the press. Got my metal piece in there. I'm a little bit misaligned there. Yeah. Let's see how we go. I don't think I need. See, that's moving already. It's just pushing it. All right. Looks like that's it. All that work for a 10-second press job. Now I suppose it beats destroying something that apparently is pretty hard to replace. Yeah. There you have it. This nut back in its bag with the gear. Righto. And there is our other. Geez, this light annoys me out. What does it do that? Can someone explain? There's our other weird ass spring-loaded mechanical seal, and there's our impellers on the shaft. Now I'll have to go back through the manual, but I don't think there's any sort of, see there's, I don't think there's any sort of seal or certainly not a bearing in that in between those two impellers. I mean, the impellers, they look a little rough, but they've seen better days, but they're perfectly functional. So I don't know if I need to take them out. And see, this one's got a O-ring seal of some description in there. This must be the one of these long ones. Yeah, maybe one of these two long ones. Anyway, so far so good. I might I've got to go out for dinner, but I'll see you maybe in a day or two. Righto, so here we are again, back in the shed, another day. I'm actually a little bit pressed for time. I'm going away for the weekend, so I thought I'd just show you what where I'm at with this oil water pump assembly. Just the basic sort of layout of it now that I've got, well, got most of it apart. Alright, so if you start at the front, this is the bit that bolts to the casting. Imagine that. Yeah, that bolts to the casting. You got a bearing there, and that's where your gear goes on the end, with a keyway and a bolt. There's actually an O-ring there to seal that. So this bearing here is exposed to engine oil, basically splash lubrication. Now, I had a bit of a crack at trying to pull this seal out unsuccessfully. I did manage to break it though. That's all right, I've got new ones, but I may end up pulling this bearing out and then tackle it from the other side, see if I can push it through from the other side. But if you look in there, floating around in there, there's actually like a little sleeve as well. I'm not sure if there's another seal in there, but I'll find out later when I'll pull that apart. Then you got the shaft going to the water pump. There's a little O-ring seal there, and of course this is where our yeah, imagine the that's up like so. Yeah, you got a seal like that, which is what this is. Basically a spring-loaded ceramic seal goes on there and pushes against your ceramic side on the impeller. Now the impellers, I'm going to have to read the manual again a little bit closely. I'm not sure whether it's worth the bother to press the impeller off. Now presumably I'll be able to put this in the press one way or the other and press against this housing to push the shaft through. But I've heard stories that these are quite brittle and they're known for breaking, so I'm going to have a think about whether that's actually worth doing. I'll probably give this a wash with the pressure cleaner first and see how clean I can get it. But yeah, that's your well, twin water pumps with yeah, what do we got? I think that's yeah, inlets and outlets. Now you got the oil pump housing. Now this again has got one of these spring-loaded ceramic type seal. You see the ceramic side on this one's been removed, but yeah, and then behind that you've just got a standard rubber seal. Now this section here, I haven't actually, that splits into two halves. Now if you look closely, you see there a little D-shaped cutout. I don't know if you can quite make that out, but that's a telltale. This part faces down, so presumably on that side of the telltale there's another seal, so I will have to split these and see what's up. But that is, the reason for that is so that if either the seal on this side goes or that side goes, you'll see it there rather than it pushing oil into the water, or supposedly. I have heard people say that's happened to them before. Yeah, there's a pressure relief spring, oil inlet, oil outlet, and this is our housing where our oil pump impeller sits in there, and that's got a little keyway, holds that there. Then on this side, that's the other side of our oil pump, with the power steering pump mount attached. As you can see, we've got a seal there. There's also a bearing in there, which I'll have to take out. I've got a new one for that. Now, even though I run electric power steering, I thought I'd give you just a quick rundown on why I run electric power steering. Well, this is the drive for this is the power steering pump here. Apparently it's a Land Rover item. But as you can see, that's your return, low pressure return, and this is your high pressure supply side. And it drives with this flange with your three, there's it go, like so. Now what happened with mine is you can see it's held in place by a keyway, and there's also an Allen key there. Well, mine sort of came adrift on the shaft, and basically it just moved, it just went, I've had enough of this driving an oil pump, power steering pump caper, and just disengaged itself, and I had no power steering. Now alright, you can stay there. Now when you look at this from under the car, you basically, that's what you're looking at, and this is sort of located about here somewhere. And I've been told apparently it's possible, but I was looking at it thinking, well, how can I, it's quite hard to even see what's going on, let alone repair the problem. So that was, so well, how do you get an Allen key in there to retighten it? So I don't know, I thought, well, if I was going to run this again, I'd probably get like a 20mm hole saw and just put a hole there. I mean, yeah, maybe it'll weaken it a little bit, but I can't see it stopping it from functioning. Yeah, because otherwise, you know, you can't get an Allen key in, and you can't see what's going on anyway, and you can't get your fingers in to then sort of slide this back to engage. So yeah, I don't know, maybe that's a stupid idea, but that's what I'd do if I was going to run this bad boy again. It sits there like so. So yeah, where am I at? Yeah, I'm going away for the weekend, so this is probably the last last segment of this video. So next time you see me, I'll probably be putting this all back together. While pulling that seal out, you get to see me attempt to split this without breaking anything. Yeah, I'll have to put my thinking cap on how I'm going to do that. Yeah. Alright then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.